welcome. This is a lecture on stochastic process. In this lecture, we will introduce stochastic process, give a working definition for the stochastic process, and with this building block, we will proceed with classifying stochastic process and look at the various ways in which the theory of stochastic process can be used for modeling real world physical phenomenon and processes that find wide applications in science, engineering, humanities, and so on. So, in a previous course on probability, I believe you would have encountered random variables, which is one of the fundamental notion that we use to talk about probabilistic phenomena or random phenomena. We have also looked at not just one random variables but collection of random variables, two or more random variables which are defined using their joint characterization. For example, the joint cumulative distribution function, PMF or PDF, probability density function, and so on. Going further, we could have also talk about this collection of random variables in terms of a random vector. But again, those collections are such that we have a set of random variables. And now we would like to go one step further and put a mathematical structure to the collection of random variables. Let's say we have a set of random variables. More specifically, it is often called as a family of random variables. In order to identify one random variable from another in that set, we use an parameter or an index, which is basically an identifier. It allows you to understand and specify and distinguish one random variable from another in this set. So, with this idea that we have a set or a family of random variables, and we want a way of identifying one from another, distinguishing one from another, so that we can precisely specify which random variable from the set we are talking about at any given time. So, if you want to use this idea and formalize it, then the definition of the stochastic process goes as follows. A stochastic process is a mathematical structure that is defined on indexed family of random variables. So, a stochastic process is nothing but an indexed family of random variables. Here, the point to be noted is family is another way of calling a set. So, we have a collection of random variables or a set of random variables, but we also use an index to identify one random variable from the another. And naturally, stochastic process, why we are more interested in that structure is that most of the physical phenomenon that occurs in science, engineering, humanities, and so on are of such a nature that you have a random phenomenon whose characterization changes with respect to time or as a physical parameter varies. Naturally, we have not just one random variable to talk about, but a collection of random variables. But these are all related random variables because they all correspond to a given physical phenomenon, or they all characterize the same physical parameter. But since the characterization change, the random variables nature also changes. Therefore, all these random variables, which together characterizes as the physical phenomenon evolve, we use this mathematical structure called as the stochastic process. The point to be noted is that a stochastic process is not an arbitrary collection of random variables. For example, you would have seen many kinds of random variables being defined from different experiments, random experiments that one can conduct. For example, tossing of a coin, which can take two values, head or tail, and therefore a random variable can be defined based on that, taking a value 1 or 0 with probability of getting a head or a probability of getting a tail. Or it can be throwing of a dice, again a random variable denoting the value of the face that comes up when a die is thrown can be defined. So the values can be 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 up to 6 with different probabilities. Or it can be drawing of a card from a deck. So these are three different random variables. Well, you cannot put them together and call it as a set and then define a stochastic process. One, we may not be interested in it, first of all, because these are three arbitrary random variables which are no relation with each other, and there is no, we can individually handle them. There is no need to talk about a collection, okay, which is supposed to bring out the relationship between these random variables. They are all independent random variables defining different physical phenomena or random experiments. So only random variables that correspond to a given physical phenomenon which have some meaning together, if they put them together, those we want to characterize and talk, and that is why we, after all, gone in for introducing the notion of stochastic process. Therefore, an arbitrary collection of random variables do not constitute a stochastic process. Inherently, what we want is that the random variables in the family that characterizes the stochastic process should be such that they should be defined on the same sigma algebra, which again comes from a given event space defined and on a sample space of a random experiment. So you have a random experiment, but when you conduct the random experiment, the characteristics of the random experiment changes from time to time or from spatial point to another spatial point and so on. So such random variables all have the same probability space on which they are defined, same sample space, same event space, and the same sigma algebra on which they are defined. But the only thing is the probability measure that we give to the event space, and therefore the probability values that we give for the various values the random variable are going to take can change from one random variable to another random variable. But these random variables are all related to each other because physically they all correspond to the same experiment or physical phenomenon, but they are just conducted or observed from time to time. So these index points, which basically used to distinguish one random variable from another random variable, are also called as the parameter of the random variable. In most cases, it may be the time which will signify this index or the parameter. We will start off with giving an example. Let's look at a random variable which is a Bernoulli trial. Example being tossing of a coin. There are two possible outcomes in the Bernoulli trial. It can be success or failure. In the case of coin tossing, it is the occurrence of head or occurrence of tail. Let us define a random variable x, which takes two values, +1 and -1, depending upon whether a head or a tail occurs. If you assign a probability p for the occurrence of head and 1 minus p for the occurrence of tail, then we have defined a random variable. The sample space is nothing but head comma tail, and head alone is one event of interest, tail alone is one event of interest. It forms a sigma algebra because it is closed under set union, set complementation, set intersection operation. The sample space is there, the null set is there, so a sigma algebra is defined. And then we have defined a random variable which maps from the sigma algebra or the event space to real numbers. Only two numbers, +1 and -1, are possible now. And we have also given a probability measure. So it is basically a complete probability space or a probability triple being defined. So this is just one random variable. Now, if you conduct a sequence of Bernoulli trials, then they are all related to each other because it is the throwing of the same coin. But it may so happen that as we do the experiments, then the characterization might change. Normally, they are all independent, but it may so happen that they are all related to each other trivially if they are independent, or non-trivially if they have some dependence. So the same physical experiment is being repeated many times, and each time we define a random variable, and therefore we can put these random variable together in a form of a set or a family and use the trial number as the index. So we repeat this Bernoulli trial and we use the trial number, specifying which trial it is, whether it is the first trial, second or third trial, to denote the index, to act as an index that differentiates one random variable from the other. So naturally, the first random variable we can call it as x1, second as x2, x3 and so on. Here the index set is 1, 2, 3 and so on. That basically specifies which trial we are talking about. So this becomes a stochastic process, an indexed family of random variables. Here it may so happen that all these random variables or the successive throw of the dice are independent of each other, but it may not be like that. For example, as we throw the die, it may so happen that the probability of success can change. Well, in the case of coin tossing, it normally does not, and therefore we would have seen that we call them as IID, or independent identically distributed random variables. So this is a simplest possible stochastic process, or it is a trivial stochastic process. Just for the sake of putting the collection of random variables into one family, we have put them and defined a stochastic process. But more often, or in general, the Bernoulli trials conducted in succession may be related to each other. As we conduct, the success probability may change, and therefore the random variable x1, x2 are not independent, they may be related to each other, and their characterization may also be changing. So as we see, the random variable constituting the stochastic process may be dependent or independent. That is a point that we have to note. Further, the probability mass function of the random variables might keep changing as the trial progresses. So the characterization changes. So in general, a stochastic process can be such that We have a collection of random variables which are indexed, and their characterization may change as we move along the index set, and these random variables may be dependent to each other. Now we will spend more time on looking at the index set that is one of the main component of the stochastic process. So in most cases, we use the concept of stochastic process to model a physical phenomenon, and as time progresses we would like to know how the phenomenon evolves. Stochastic processes characterizing such cases, physical phenomenon, will have an index which is often in the form of a time. So in most cases it is the time which signifies the index. We also can use the term parameter to interchangeably with the index. So we will either use index or parameter, or more often time, to interchangeably stand for the word index. Next, it may happen that if you do a sequence of, let us say, Bernoulli trials or a random experiment at different time points, then these time points, or the at which we conduct the random experiments, can be used to identify the random variable in one experiment from another. So the index will be the experiment number, or the trial number, or the observation number, or the sample number. For example, you may pick up a sample from a large collection of components being manufactured, and we want to look at its characteristics. And it may be random in nature, because the manufacturing process may not produce identical component, and therefore each sample is have its own characteristics. So it's a random variable, and the sample number here identifies the index or the parameter, or the experiment number, or the trial number. So in which case, in the case of successive trials being carried out, we do it at different time points, but the time points may not be equally spaced. So we call these as discrete time points. We use the trial number or the time point as 1, 2, 3 and so on. They may not be equally spaced. They may not correspond to clock time as 1 minute, 2 minute, or 1 hour, 2 hour and so on, but it's a progression in time. That is what we understand. So we will call it as discrete time, but it should be understood that this does not correspond to the actual time measured by a clock. Sometimes it may be the actual time also. For example, if you observe a quantity, for example, the pressure or temperature at a given time, which corresponds to a clock time, then that time is the index or the parameter, and it may take continuous values over a continuous range, and that may act as the parameter. So the time itself is interpreted in two manners. One, it can be the actual time that we talk about, the physical quantity time that we talk about, which more often take values in a continuous range, or the index may correspond to discrete time points that may correspond to the trial number, sample number, or the experiment number and so on. For example, you can have successive coin tossing and use the toss number as the index. Or if you look at the price of the stock at successive days, or the maximum temperature recorded on successive days, then here day acts as the index. Of course, we always correspond a numerical value to those days. We don't use Monday, Tuesday to stand for index. We may have a physical understanding of that. We will use 1, 2, 3 and so on, typically a non-negative integer as the index, with an idea of 1 may correspond to Monday, 2 may correspond to Tuesday and so on. Or it may be the temperature or humidity recorded at successive days of a month. Or it may be the sales recorded on successive months. So here the months may be used to stand for the index or the discrete time. Or it can be years. The GDP growth in successive years of a country may be recorded, or maybe we want to discuss it. So here the GDP value is the random variable, and to denote these years we use integers like 1, 2, 3 to act as the discrete time or the index. So in both these cases, time acts as the natural parameter to identify one random variable from the another. To give a little bit more insight into how the stochastic process can be defined. For example, you may conduct an experiment which corresponds to finding the number of customers who have entered a supermarket starting from a given time on a particular day. For that, let us do an experiment. Let us say at 9 o'clock, we ask someone to stand in the entrance of a supermarket and start counting the number of customers who have entered. We don't bother about those who have left. We only keep recording the number of customers who have entered. Naturally, customers come into the market at random time points. So the number n of the customers at any given time who have entered till a time t, starting from a given time, say 9 o'clock, which will arbitrarily call it as time t is equal to 0. So this quantity n of t, which denotes the number of customers who have entered till time t, starting from a time t is equal to 0, is a random variable. But n of t's characterization will change with t, because a priori you may be able to specify or guess what the value n of t will be after t is equal to 1 hour. From your understanding, you may tell that in 1 hour time, on the average, 50 customers would have entered, but it can also be 40 or 60 with certain probabilities. So we may be able to give a PMF for that. So we have a probability mass function defining n of t at t is equal to 1 hour. But if n of t at t is equal to 2 hour, this characterization is supposed to change, because the average number, instead of 50, it may change to 100. And again, the variance or the distribution around the mean may also change. And as time progresses, the characteristic will change, because in the afternoon times, noon times, the arrivals will be less. So again, how n of t progresses as t changes is something that we are interested in. So that is one which constitutes the stochastic process. So again, n of t's are related to each other for two different values of t. Suppose at a given time t1, we observed the actual value of n of t, T1, which is we have a realization of n of T1, not just the prescription of n of T1. We have a realization. With this one, if you want to characterize n of t plus delta t after some time, that is at 1 hour we know the number of customers precise value. At 1 hour plus 5 minutes if you want to find out, the characterization will obviously have to account for the actual value at 1 hour, because it will be only greater than that and it will be close to that, and therefore they are dependent. So the random variables are dependent or not, and they are not independent. And basically this tells how the random variable evolve with time. So that is what we capture using this quality, that which we call it as the stochastic process. Basically it is a way of understanding the evolution of a random variable when the parameter is time. So here the t takes a continuous values. Such stochastic process can be written in this form: n of t, t element of capital T, where capital T is the index set and t is a particular index value, or here t is a parameter that distinguishes one random variable from another. The set of all possible index values or parameter values that can be taken is given by a set called as the index set. So this is a generic way by which any stochastic process can be written. And what we can now do is, we can look at an in particular, if the time starts at a given time, which we will call it as t is equal to 0, and increases over a continuous range, then we will denote it in the following manner: n of t, t greater than or equal to 0. And here t goes from 0 to infinity. Suppose we do an alternate experiment where we are not going to observe or are interested in predicting the number of customers at an arbitrary time t. Rather, we are only interested in looking at the number of customers at some regular time points spaced at 5 minutes between each of them. So we have certain time points at which we would like to know how many customers would have entered, and therefore these time points, which are spaced at an interval of 5 minutes, is what we are going to use as the index. Then we can, starting at a time 9 o'clock, the corresponding value of n of t, we will call it as n at the time 0. Then at 9:05, 9:10 and so on, the different values of the number of customers, we will call it as n1, n2 and so on, the number of customers at time points 1, 2 and so on. Now instead of n, suppose we use the notation x. So x of n, in general, x of n for n is equal to 0, 1, 2. Now define the stochastic process. The index now is discrete in nature, 0, 1, 2 and so on. So what we have done is, instead of looking at an stochastic process which has a continuous parameter, now we are only looking at a discrete values of parameter or time, 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. So what we have basically done is, we have discretized the time, and only at specified time points we are looking at the characterization of stochastic process, because we expect in 5 minutes the characterization may not change much, or the values may not change much. So it is easy to only observe a few random variables rather than a continuum of random variables. That is why we may often go in for discretization. So this way, a continuous time stochastic process is converted to a discrete time stochastic process. Well, so far we have looked at a case where the index or the parameter is time. It need not necessarily be time. It can be any other physical parameter which can be suitably used for distinguishing one random variable which again may correspond to another physical parameter and so on. For example, the index can be a spatial point. For example, we want to define the temperature or a pressure or a humidity or the velocity at different places rather than at different time of an automobile, of a particle. So here the spatial points are the one which are used as the index. So the velocity at x equal to 1 meter, x equal to 2 meter is another way of characterizing the movement of a particle. So here the velocity itself is a random variable, but the index that we use, the velocity at a distance of 1 meter from the origin, 2 meter from the origin, is what we will specify, and here the spatial points 1 meter, 2 meter is the one which acts as the parameter. So rather than the time, space is used for indexing the random variables. To give another example, let us consider a rod of length L as shown here. So let us say we keep this rod in such a manner that at the two ends of the rod there are two heat sinks whose temperatures are maintained. One at 30 degree, maybe here it may be exposed to the ambient, it's at ambient temperature, and here it is at 100 degrees centigrade, and we would like to look at how the temperature is distributed as we move along this rod. So let us take 2 points T1 and T2 which may correspond to the length or the let us take 2 points which are defined as x1 and x2 which may correspond to the distance of that point from one end of the rod, for example this end. So x1 is this length, x2 is this length. At these 2 points we are interested in characterizing the temperature. We will call it as T1 and T2. Here 1 and 2 are the indexes which correspond to the spatial points x1 and x2, and at those points the random variable temperature is to be specified. So here we have the index being discrete. Again it all depends upon how you measure the length. If you want to specify temperature at an arbitrary place, then x is continuous, therefore the parameter is continuous, but at only specified points at 1 centimeter interval we want to specify, then it becomes discrete. So spatial points can also be continuous or discretized. So here the temperature is likely to be a random variable, because assume that the area of cross section of this rod is not uniform, and for example the material is not homogeneous with having the thermal conductivity different at different points. Naturally the way the heat flows will be random in nature. Further, let us say we assume that air blows randomly across the length of this rod. Okay. So the velocity and the direction of the blowing of the wind is random, Therefore, the temperature at which this point at a distance x1 will have is going to be random. We may be able to predict it and construct a distribution for it. For example, if you keep these two temperatures as 30 and 100, it is likely that T2 will have a mean of about say 50 and T1 may have a mean value of 70. But it may be distributed around 50 and 70, may have a normal distribution around these two. So this is how it is going to be. But on the other hand, if you fix this as 100 precisely, again it is trivially a random variable. Its density function will be a Dirac delta function at a value 100. So here rather it will be a Gaussian with mean at 70 but with some variance. But again the distribution might also change with time at different points of x. So when we start with this rod, okay, start this experiment of keeping this as 100, let us say initially the whole rod is at 30 degrees, so this will also be 30. The moment we keep it at 100, slowly the temperature will increase, and that is one thing. So the mean changes with time. So from Dirac delta function it will slowly becomes a Gaussian function with finite variance. The mean will also change. Initially it may be 30, it may slowly go towards 70. So the mean drifts, the variance may also increase. So essentially if you look, if you can imagine the probability density function for the temperature at the point x1, then it will be a function which evolves with time. And if you compare the density function of T1 and T2, then they may be different. They may be two Gaussian distribution at with the different mean, probably with the different variance also. So you can imagine the probability density function to be evolving with time and space. So in general, if you look at a random variable that is two-dimensional with the probability density function which can be visualized or taking a shape of an hill, as time progresses, the shape of the hill or the probability density function changes. So this is how you can visualize the evolution of a stochastic process. Now the index or the parameter which we saw can be a spatial value, can have it can have two or more dimensions. For example, let us say we are interested in finding the recording or predicting the number of births that takes place in a country at various places. To do that, what we can do is, again we may do it and record it at various months, say January to December. First we will concentrate on characterizing the stochastic process in a given month or in a given year, and then we will talk about the progress in time. So to do that, what we may do is we will look at the map of the country, we will divide them into different grids, probably using the latitude and longitude, and we may draw grids in such a manner that the area of each of this square can be of maybe of 10 square kilometer. So that is how we may draw the grid, and each such grid can be characterized by using two values x and y corresponding to the latitude and longitude at the midpoint of the grid. So we have now a way of dividing this entire region into grids identified by two quantities, say coordinates x and y of its midpoints. Now at any given grid point, the number of births that takes place in a given month is a random quantity. Because in rural areas it will be very less. In areas like forest and so on, it is almost be no births may happen. In metros or in semi-urban regions, the values may be different. Again, it will be random. The only way we can characterize is the mean number of births that can happen with some prescription for other values also. So it's basically a probability mass function that you have to give. Here, what we are doing is that the number of births is of course discrete valued one, and we are defining this random variable, which is the number of births at different grids, and here the index is two dimensional, not just one dimensional. X comma y define the grid, or it can be x, y, z also. Okay. Now if you in addition want to also record at different months, we may add another quantity, x comma y comma m, where m stands for month, where m, the month, can be we can use values like 1, 2, 3 for different months. So the idea is that the index can also be multidimensional. We already saw that the random variables in the collection or the family defining the stochastic process can have discrete values or it can have continuous values. For example, in the case of coin tossing and so on, it is discrete valued. For example, in the case of the maximum temperature or the of in a given day, or the value of the stock or the temperature, then it is continuous. So the random variables can be discrete or continuous. Similarly, the index can be continuous or discrete. The index can be multidimensional or just having one dimension. Now we can have the random variables themselves being multidimensional. Those are multivariate stochastic process. For example, we may be interested in two random variables related to each other. For example, the temperature and pressure at different time points in a process plant of an industry. We would like to progress. We want to monitor it. So T of t, temperature at a given time t, pressure at the given time t, as t greater than or equal to 0, is what we want to keep track of and define a stochastic process for it. So this is a bivariate stochastic process. Or there can be multiple random variables all specified at a given index, and for different index values we specify in the stochastic process. So with this basic way of defining a stochastic process and understanding how the characterization of the stochastic process can vary, we by now have a fair understanding of what stochastic processes are and so on. With this we will stop this lecture. In the next lecture we will classify the stochastic process based on the nature of the random variables and the index points, and then move ahead with characterizing them. Thank you.